I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom. Well, text the word freedom to 737 777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 127. And today's title, we're talking about don't spend your money. And you might be saying, what are you talking about? Don't spend your money. Well, don't spend your money. See, in most circles, we've been taught wrong. We've been taught what the average and what everyone else does, and what I learned a long time ago is do the exact opposite the masses do. So if the masses are going to the left, then I'm gonna scoot myself on over to the right, right? Because the masses a lot of times they just follow whatever is going on. They don't have a goal. Uh, they don't have direction. A lot of times they just blow whichever way the wind blows, right? But you know, I want to be a free thinker. I want to be able to think for myself. I want to be able to not just go, not okay. The media says this, so I'm just gonna go with that, right? Or you know, anyway, I could break that all the way down from the commercial holidays to some of the things the media portrays, all this stuff, right? But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about don't spend your money. And if you don't spend your money, what are you going to spend? Well, you want to spend the money your money makes, right? Because let your assets pay for your liabilities. And if you're not familiar with those type of terms and ways of thinking, let me break it down a little bit for you. So let's just say you want a watch, right? A brand new watch, right? Um, and so you get your paycheck. The goal is not to spend your paycheck on the watch, right? Your goal is to spend your paycheck on some sort of asset that will produce cash flow. And when that asset produces cash flow, you take that cash flow and then you buy the watch, right? That's the way to do it. And you know what? I learned this years ago in Rich Dad Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki, one of my favorite books. Literally eye opening, changed my whole life. I still remember where I was at when I was reading that book. And it just talked about how wealthy people spend money versus how everyone else did. And look, if there's a book that's going to teach you how wealthy people spend money, wouldn't you want to follow it? And wouldn't you want to like take a look and actually apply what it's teaching? And so what we're saying is don't spend your money, spend the money your money makes. Right. But the only way that can work is if you are buying assets that will produce cash flow and passive income for you. So like an example, let's just say that I'll just go back to stocks because that's a very easy example. We talked about dividend stocks. What if you bought enough dividend stocks where every quarter it pays a dividend like automatically, like in my portfolio account, I'll see like when I'm getting dividend payments, right? And so just imagine that every quarter you have dividends that come in, and you take that cash flow and you can go buy the watch, and you didn't have to do anything for that cash flow because you already did it. You bought the stock that paid the dividends, and you bought enough of it where it can produce some cash flow for you, right? And for some people that pays their bills, right? Like, I mean, there are people who live off of dividends, right? because they set their life up in a way to do that. So that's something we want to start. And look, you can start small, but and it doesn't have to be stocks either. It could be a business that pays passive income. It could be rental property. Look, it could be renting a car. It could be doing an Airbnb. It could be any kind of forms of ways that you can earn passive income. Now, I'm not talking about earned income when you actually work for the income. I'm talking about income that's going to come in without your effort or involvement, or very little effort or involvement, because sometimes you still have to do a little something something. I mean, if you're renting a property, um if you don't have a property manager, you still got to at least collect the rent, right? But how hard is that to collect the rent? Right? Unless you got a tenant that's not paying, then that's another story. But but again, having forms of passive income, and there's lots of different forms of passive income. Matter of fact, I did an episode on it. I can't remember which one it was, but if you go back through the episode, there was one that I did where I literally went over a bunch of different ways, different forms of passive income. So, but I've done an episode. I did a couple episodes on dividends. So just go back and listen to some of the episodes that we've done previously, especially if you're new to this podcast, because I think you'll find it very valuable. Some of the things that we talked about, but again, like for instance, episode 65, we talk a lot about buying income. That's what that episode was about. It's somewhat the same concept, but just I'm just breaking it down just a little bit different. They say a cash cow, right? So that's how you want to think of it. Is like we could take the paycheck and just go buy the watch, but here's the problem with that. um you only have the watch, right? And the money's gone. But if you buy the cow, let's just say, i.e. the asset, right? Then you buy the watch and you still have the cow, right? So the cow's still going to continue to produce cash for you because you got the cow, right? I.e. the asset. You get what I'm saying? So like you could just spend the money on the watch. Yeah, absolutely. That's what most people do, but then they don't have anything else because they spent the money and they didn't spend it on something that's going to keep bringing in cash. Does that make sense? That's the part, that part right there, that we got to focus on, is buying the asset. So look, like I said, you could start I'm just throwing stuff off the top of my head, but you could start a part-time business that pays passive income. I just woke up today to passive income, right? Matter of fact, I just woke up. I won't go there, but I woke up to some passive income today, which is really, really nice. Um, so you can start a business. You could have a Airbnb. You could actually buy the house and rent a car. I'm sorry, buy the house and rent it out. You can buy a car and rent it out. Like now, you got like places like Turo that you can rent your personal vehicle, right? Um, by the way, there are ways you can get involved with Airbnb without even owning a home. I mean, this is all kind of strategies. The key is, number one, we have to have the mindset for it. Number two, we actually have to take action and go get something. And again, you can start small if you want to. Easy One of the easiest ways is a dividend stock. That's why I talked about that, because all you do is you just buy a stock that pays dividends, and just buy enough of it. Even if you start small, buy enough every month or every paycheck, every week, whatever, and then get to a point where you got enough shares where the dividends can pay something. Like even if it's just one bill, like okay, boom, I got a bill knocked out, and my dividends from my stock are covering that, right? And then you just move on. The goal is to move to the next bill, the next bill, the next bill. Next thing you know, you have enough passive income where, hey, you don't have to have that job anymore, because the passive income is greater than your expenses, right? And that's the key. That's the key to financial freedom. A lot of people think you have to have millions of dollars to be financially free, and that's not true. That is a big myth. All you have to do is have your passive income greater than your expenses. So if your expenses is $3,000 a month, right, and that's just the I'm just throwing that number out there. I have no idea what your expenses are, but let's just say your expenses are $3,000 a month, maybe 4,000. I don't know. Then and you bring in 6,000 in passive income, then guess what? You are financially free. You your passive income is paying all your bills, right? So you may have very little involvement or no involvement at all, and your bills just automatically get paid, right? In the case of the stocks, the dividend stocks, there is no involvement. You already did it. You paid for it, right? But there's other ways, and there's all different kinds. You want to have at least 7 streams of income, right? The Bible talks about that in Ecclesiastes, because you never know what would happen to one. So why just have one? But most people only have one, and unless it's having 2 or 3 jobs. But you want to have multiple flows of income that can produce cash flow, and you really want to focus more on the passive side because you don't want to just be working, 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 working. You want to be working yourself out of a job, if that makes sense. Working yourself in a situation where, you can wake up and start living your passions and not having to live to pay the bills. And that's where a lot of people are at. Like they gotta get up and go to that job that they cannot stand because they gotta pay the bills. And so, what if you could be in a space? Just imagine you wake up today and like, okay, who am I gonna bless today? What am I gonna do today? What do I feel like doing today? And you just go do it because you can. Financially, you can do it. Time wise, you can do it. Geographically, you could do it. Like, hey, let's just go hop on a plane, right? It's nothing if you have it and if you can, if nobody can stop you from doing it. And that's the point that we want to get people. That right there is freedom at its finest, right? And it really doesn't take as much as people think it does to get to that place. But it has to be again, back to my first thing, it has to be a mindset, because if it's not a mindset, you'll never do it, right? And some people know that's what they need to do, but they just don't do it, right? You heard me say we know what to do, but we don't do what we know. And this is the time to start doing that. It's time to start building assets. And you know what's so cool about that? Once you build these assets, um, it can carry on to the next generation. And so now, imagine before your kids even have a job, they have passive income that could pay all their bills, right? That's a whole nother level of life for them. Of course, you want to make sure that they understand values and principles and hard work and things like that. But they're in a really good situation because of what you did and how you focus, right? So anyway, I just hope you guys enjoyed this episode 127. And again, don't spend your money, spend your money makes, right? And in order for that to happen, we first have to spend it on assets that can pay for your liabilities, right? Sometimes we say a house is an asset. Well, no, not always. A house is not an asset until it's paying some bills, it's paying some cash flow. Initially it's a liability because you're paying the mortgage every month. But, maybe if you did have a roommate and or if you had a duplex and someone was upstairs and you were downstairs or whatever, you know, that's a different situation. But for the most part, most people's home is not a asset. I mean, yes, you can take, in some ways you can call it an asset. You could take out liquidity, you could take out the equity, whatever. But what I'm talking about, like, it's not truly an asset in my eyes or in most wealthy people's eyes until it's paying passive income. It's paying something in a dividend or something to that effect by renting it out or by having having an Airbnb, having a roommate, something like that. So anyway, I can't wait to hear about the successful, um, forms of passive incomes that you start to build. And I posted this in our Facebook group, but I want to share it with you guys. If you guys have a question of anything or any sort that you want to ask, reach out to us. Or even some questions that you'd like to see as an episode. I did have a gentleman who, um, uh, shout out to shout out to Paul, who had a great question, and we're gonna definitely do an episode around that. But excited for you guys, and I can't wait to share more concepts that can help you live the life that you're called to live and not the life that you have to live. So anyway, take care, take charge, and we'll see you all over the top. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.